STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Brazen.
Double O in the house.
You. Oh, we need one of those ones. You know? Yeah. Yes, sir. Hey, man, listen. Before we're going to be talking today about the impact of war on Bitcoin, but before we jump into that,
Yes, sir.
we'd like to remind everyone to please subscribe to the channel, right? Like the videos, share it with your friends. It means a lot to us. We really appreciate you watching our videos. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well, right? Handles are down below. Now, with no further ado, Double O, let's jump into the situation here, man. We find ourselves in a how would you say, a curious situation, right? After the
entire world, actually, not just us. Everybody.
No, I mean, when I say we, like we as a society, as the globe, we find ourselves in an interesting place. After the rollout of aggression by Russia, right? I think if you start digging a little bit deeper into this plan, you start seeing that these guys have been planning this thing for a while, and there's a lot more implications that are to come from this.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think sanctions are gonna help in this situation.
This is more than that.
Absolutely. I think this situation has the potential to reshape the whole financial system as we know it. But let's
it could reshape the entire financial system or blow up the entire world.
well, you know, I don't want
It's funny, but it's not funny.
It's not funny, but I try not to think about that one because ultimately I think that the people who are involved in this probably don't want to die themselves.
Yeah.
So it would be in their best interest not to take themselves out while trying to create something. Otherwise, they might not get to realize their own efforts at some point. Abi? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Write that down. You know, in my younger days, man, I used to be a philosopher. I was sitting back there in Bamenda, Cameroon, man, under a tree. It was a guava tree. Okay, I had my
tree too.
Yes, bro. I had my pen and paper, and I was jotting down these thoughts, and it was just anyway. I cannot release that book yet. It's too much for the human mind at this point.
It's coming, y'all. About to get a book from Brazen.
Hey, man, listen, man. We could write a couple books up here. You know what I'm saying? Let us know if you'd like to see us write a book. Drop it in the comments. If I don't know, look, if 2 people comment down below, they would like to see us write a book. We will write a book. What do you think of that, Double O? Yes,
hey.
Let's do it. All right, so let's jump into today's show here, man. We're talking about the impact of war and Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is right now something that is proving to be let's not say a disruptor of the traditional system, but a revolution, right?
Disruptive technology that comes along with revolution.
Yeah, well, it is I would say revolutionary technology because I think.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's revolutionary technology because I don't think that disruption is like, well, we see you and now we're gonna come take. Dude, this is just God mode, right? It's its own thing. I cannot. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Let's not disrespect Bitcoin like that.
Touches everything.
Exactly, right? So
Religion.
we're gonna talk about some of the basics here, man. Go for it, Double O.
Well, first of all, right, folks are like, what the heck is this Bitcoin thing, right? First of all, it's a technology, right? And it came to its own being after the 2008 financial crisis, which we all know about, right?
Right.
There've been previous attempts to come up with this digital money, and I can't pronounce this guy's name. Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
Some people think it's one person. Some people think it's an organization. Wrote this code and just disappeared. What does it do? Basically, what you and I do every day, but except for in the software, it limits the value or the count of the money that you generate to 21. Is it 21 million bitcoins?
21 million bitcoins is all there ever be. Fixed supply.
It's a very, very, very short code, but requires a lot of algorithm to solve the mathematical equation.
Right.
We don't want to confuse guys with all the details, but at the end of the day, we're just going to say that for a Bitcoin to be created, you have to work. It's called proof of work.
Right.
Right. And that's just the basic. You have to mine the Bitcoin into reality. How do you mine the Bitcoin into reality? A bunch of computers gotta come together and crunk and solve the algorithmic mathematical equation to create that value. Just like what you and I do every day. We wake up, we take a shower, brush our teeth, go to work to create value. So me doing what I'm doing right now is proof of work.
Proof of work, yeah. We are expending energy in order to deliver this product to the people. And if it works out well, we get some views. And if it works out really, really great, then you get things like ad revenue and everything else that comes with that, right? You get exposure. That is, you could look at that as your reward as a miner, right? For a reward for your proof of work. So
do you get it?
It's
if
very.
You don't get it, access in the comment.
Yeah, this is the thing about it, man. It is just incredible to me because when you start to understand, you understand that Bitcoin is not complicated. It takes the most simple concepts of our everyday life and implements it in code, right? Proof of work, like the way you just described it there, incredible, simple. You put in work, you get rewarded.
Same thing with gold, right?
Yes,
gold
but
is
the important part is you have to put in work. Go ahead.
So you have to mine. So the mining is done by all these computers, which require energy. Right. So electrical energy. You and I, we eat food to have the energy to create value. But the energy that we get from the food comes from farming, from the farmer putting the work, from all the work. Actually, it's not even, as human beings, it's not as efficient to create, to use our energy to create value. Right. Bitcoin actually is a lot more efficient creating value than human beings, which is kind of weird. I have to say that.
Hey, listen, man. There are certain characteristics of Bitcoin. Well, all the characteristics of Bitcoin are characteristics of true sound money, right? Yeah. So it takes all the good pieces of ledger money or your, I guess, Stone Age money, if you will. I know there's a term for it, but this is having that physical count, right? Yep. And what a ledger does, and it implements it into one, which also makes it a thing where Bitcoin is time. I'm reading about that right now, and it's a complicated situation, but we'll jump into that at some point. Now, here's the thing: when people mine Bitcoin, that helps with bringing that Bitcoin into life, as you mentioned.
They create a bunch of blocks, right? Which has to go through this verification process, and then they create the block. And the block now have to get verified.
Yes. And that is where we come into nodes, right? A big part about keeping one of the biggest parts, not to say one of the biggest parts, the biggest parts that plays into keeping the Bitcoin network secure is the ability to verify transactions, right? Because this makes sure that every transaction that happens, whether it's from the miners or between individuals, is verified across the blockchain and keeps that information true. And once it's added, it can no longer be cancelled. Now, you could ask, who is responsible?
Let me add real quick. That's what you just said there is called the consensus rules, right?
Right.
It ensures that we meet that Bitcoin, the protocol rule to ensure that somebody does not hack the system. It's a security setting as well.
Right, absolutely. So you could ask, like, well, who keeps the network secure, right? And we're just trying to bring this back to a very basic level because this is going to play in, or at least it's going to connect to what we're going to be talking about later on as far as the impact of war. So as far as who keeps this network secure, we are all responsible for keeping the network secure, right? So there is no one delegating tasks to anyone. There is no boss, right?
No centralized control.
Exactly. So anyone, anytime across the world can decide, hey, I want to keep the Bitcoin secure, so I'm going to run a node, right? Now, when you run a node, a node is essentially just a computer that is running the Bitcoin core software, right? And it just checks to make sure that all these transactions are correct. Yep. The more nodes you have online, right, the more secure the network is going to be. Right? And we're going to look at some maps here with locations of the nodes and locations and because this also plays into the geography, right? Where is the most mining taking place? For the nodes, I don't think it's that important, but And we'll see why that is, right? Especially when we look at the China situation. But I think it is important for everyone to try to run a node. I'll be running a node soon. How about you, Davila?
Hey, we're joining the crew.
You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely.
No, that's part of the old decentralization objective. Is
Yes.
that we want to help verify the transactions much faster, and
Absolutely.
and you don't have to really have a full a full node.
A
You
full
can just
node, yeah.
run you can just run just on your cell phone. It's that
Yeah.
simple.
So and before, and we're gonna move forward here, but there's you could run two types of nodes, right? You have your full node, which means that you're downloading all the transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain from the beginning of time, and you're verifying all transactions. Or you could just run a light node, or people just call it a node, where you're just verifying transactions using I think they call it SPV, simplified payment verification. Right, simplified payment verification. So these are the two types of nodes. I mean, you can get a Raspberry Pi and these things will work. Now, here's the thing: in a situation where let's say a country goes to war, there are certain things that happens in the traditional financial system, right? Other than confiscating people's property, things like the stock market being shut down can also happen, and we've seen that happen in Russia,
for example. Yeah.
Right? But let's say we are on the Bitcoin network, right? And I think this will show. Let's see. Should we do the nodes first?
Yeah.
Or
Let's
the
go ahead.
mining? Yeah, we'll start with the nodes.
Whatever.
So what we have here, right, is I guess this is bitnodes.io.
Yeah.
By the way, so I recommend everyone go check this out. So you could see some of this information on here. They have charts and a bunch of other cool things. And we can see nodes that are currently running across the world, right? We have quite a few there in the United States, right? There's one somewhere out there in the far ends. Where is that? Is that Alaska?
Alaska.
That's Alaska.
That's Alaska.
Right? Yeah. So we're up there in the far ends, we have some nodes running. Unfortunately, why is there's like one node in South Africa? There's like 2 or 3 nodes that pop up sometimes in South Africa.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're running full time.
It's so unfortunate. And then in Brazil, one pops up in Brazil once in a while. Oh yeah, that's another one in Venezuela.
There we go. Right. And so we have more nodes running there in Europe as well, France, all that whole area, all these people close to Russia right now.
I have to say something about this diagram. If you look at where all the nodes are, it's right there in Europe, and a lot in Eastern Europe, and a lot in the US. Right? But then people want to say, oh, China canceled Bitcoin. Look at that. China still have some nodes going on.
Absolutely.
Russia had some nodes going on. What is going on that we don't know in China? Because we still have nodes. You also see in a little bit that we still have some mining going on in China.
That is true. Let me see. Let's switch over to that diagram here. So what we're looking at now here is the distribution of mining across the world. Now, this one, I think this is very important. Very important for the health of the Bitcoin network. We can see that obviously at some point China was dominating the mining situation. Up until sometime last year when they decided to ban all mining, and so they left the country. Now, remember at the beginning of this video, we said keeping the network secure is very important. By everyone running a node, you help with validating transactions, right? That helps to keeping the network secure as well. Now, making sure that mining is also happening, which also helps, mining also helps to secure the network. We have to also have a much more decentralized mining situation going on. Obviously, China was dominating this space for the longest of times there onto the ban mining, and we can see that all of that mining now moved over to the United States. We have some over in Europe and some other countries where the miners can get reasonably priced energy, right? And just to give you an example, because we can see an example of what happened here, this was China. Right, this was the hash rate of Bitcoin before China banned mining, and we saw that mining dropped. But then, ever since, as the miners relocated, right, and this is why I always tell people, like, banning Bitcoin is like trying to catch water with your hand. You can do it, right?
Temporarily, you can.
Exactly.
But it slips out.
Right, it's just going to move to another place. So we can see that the mining power, as the miners moved around or sold their equipment to other people and they put it back online, we can see that the hash rate started to come back up, and now we actually surpassed the previous all-time high. So we're at an all-time high of mining. So Bitcoin is strong and growing. We can definitely say that. Your thoughts down below.
Well, I'm going to share my screen real quick and talk about how this now becomes a big issue when it comes to war, and how Bitcoin and war kind of are very, very connected. So the issue that we have now, if you can see my mouse, is Russia. See how big Russia is on that map? Great. How much mining is going on in Russia? Not that much, but it is going on in Russia, right? And right there you have China, you have India, you have Pakistan, you have Iran. It's not showing on this map, but there is some percentage of mining going on. See that 3.11%? You have India very, very low. But then we have Europe. You saw all those nodes earlier in Europe, but you also have a lot of mining going on in Europe. The interesting part about it is this, is that if Ukraine gets taken out, right, the entire European line gets opened. And that's a small little country. They might have all the technology, but when you talk about the entire global GDP, it's coming from Europe.
Right.
This entire coast here, Iran, India, China, this whole area. So if war goes out of order and China joins Russia, right? Just think about it. This whole the entire world, basically 60 to 70% of the world GDP.
Yeah, so China and Russia
is in trouble.
Yeah, I think China and Russia would have the ability to have more influence, significantly more influence on all the surrounding countries there, and probably offer best deals than the West offered them.
Yeah, because the threat of nuclear power coming from China and Russia is putting Taiwan in trouble, small nation, Japan in trouble, small nation, India and Pakistan. They're basically cousins, but they're still fighting each other. We don't know what they're going to do, but they also both have nuclear. Are they going to join China? Are they going to join Russia? What is the West going to do? Africa is basically out of the picture. We don't have no nuclear power. But then we have Iran right here. Now it makes sense why Iran has been screaming that they don't want nuclear power.
Right.
So, you were saying earlier about what looks like the plan of the Russians are in terms of breaking Belarus apart. You want to jump into that real quick?
Can I point that out? Yes, I want to point out.
Black Sea and all that stuff, that area.
I was looking at it. Yeah, this is just something that I was browsing. I was looking at this and I was wondering to myself, like, I wonder if that is really what they would do. So I'm going to put the chart back here. If you look at, so here's Moscow. This is Russia. Everything in red there. And then we have Ukraine, right, which is just sitting there, looking kind of like the big toe of Russia, right? Now, this is the Black Sea, which is sitting right there between Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, and let's see, what is this other country? Belarus, which pretty much is Russia's bitch. Yeah, if you wanna call it that way. And so we have this this river that runs through Ukraine here, right? Now it comes all the way from Belarus down into the Black Sea. Or is it from the Black Sea the other way? I'm not sure of the direction, but the water is running through the land, right? And so Kiev, which is pretty much the capital city here, is on the other side of that river. So the river runs straight down through here. And if we're looking at the formation of the Russian attacks right now, right, you see that, first of all, Russia secured Crimea a long time ago. I would imagine they secured Crimea a long time ago as part of making this plan work.
It's the plan,
right?
Yeah.
Because now they are surrounding the whole country, and of course, Belarus has no issue letting them in, so they've surrounded the whole country. And if they keep pushing forward, right, in every direction that they're in right now, they have the ability to literally cut Ukraine from Odessa, where you see it there, all the way up across, and take the river running through, which is always a great resource to have, right? And with that, they would have, I mean, this is pretty much be a Russian port, right? The Black Sea would essentially be a Russian port, which would be great for trade and influence with countries all around it.
Like Turkey. Georgia is going to eventually get taken out. Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, all those would just... Looks like it's been the plan between Russia and China for a while.
Absolutely. So if they control if they control the Black Sea and the river running through there, then I think they effectively have influence over this whole area that is
Even
not.
the Middle East, Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia, and the rest of those guys.
No, absolutely everything there in the Middle East, and I think it could even spill a bit into Africa,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's just more trade and things like that. I don't believe that this is just gonna be a senseless, continuous war kind of thing. Which war in itself is senseless. I get it. This is people's lives at the end of the day, right? So, but I think that these guys have a much more significant plan in mind than the West is giving them credit for, and it just kind of bothers me sometimes when it just seems like the problem is not being attacked head on,
Yeah. So
or being
Russia,
addressed head on rather.
Russia announced that they live in the SWIFT system, and
Yeah.
then here comes China saying, "Okay, we're going to use our own system," which they're already
Yes.
working on right now. Which
No,
is a
actually, I think they
digital-
already have it, and they've been transacting with. They have over 100 companies, 100 countries. It's called the CIS system. I think CISP.
something like that. Yeah, SIPs. Yeah. So they're already doing that. So they get enough fiat, they get enough the US dollar, right? And from the map that we just showed you, look at
Right.
all those nations from the entire east all the way to the right. Imagine all those nations on that system. The dollar is done. I mean, look
Yeah.
at the small little European countries, and Africa is basically non-existent, unfortunately. And then you have
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I think that Africa is actually on the rise.
That's what I'm saying, which now
Because-
makes Bitcoin very important. If you have all
Yeah.
that mining going on in the US and you have all those nodes, why, instead of you fighting the system, that is your edge to win against this planned strategy of Russia and China. And
Yeah.
it's actually what America screams to the world about: freedom, freedom, freedom. Give the people the freedom and you will win with freedom.
Dude, I think I don't remember, there was one guy who said this actually. It was at the Miami conference we went to, and he said, Bitcoin is American as fuck, right?
Yeah.
And that is because Bitcoin and everything, the principles of Bitcoin, the way it functions, is really everything that you see in the Constitution, right? Freedom and everything else like that, individuality. And I think it would really be smart. It is high time for the US to adopt Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, yesterday, you sent me this video with Jerome Powell. He was, I don't know where he was. I don't know who was questioning him
Yeah,
now,
it
but
was at Congress yesterday. It's going to be there again today.
he was in the Congress, right? And was being questioned. And this man, first of all, the voice of defeat, the body language of defeat, okay, was just all over him. And he said, there's been more than 2 reserve currencies before and,
yeah.
and hey, it means you're opening your mind to this idea now that this is the possibility of what is about to happen. Look, the current situation we find ourselves in, right? It's not a situation that has happened before. So for economists and the Federal Reserve and all these guys to come out here and say, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and then this will happen, it's a lie. I don't think they know what they're doing. You've never dealt with this before. When you think about this, bro, when you go to a job interview, right, what do they ask you about? Your experiences, right?
Yeah.
And your experience has to match what they're looking for.
Yep.
I don't think, can these people tell us a time when they've dealt with such an economic disaster like we're dealing with right now? I don't think they know what happens when you print this much money. And I think we're all just waiting to find out. The only thing we're sure of is that when you have a fixed supply of money, right, and you're able to exercise proof of work to earn your value, that system works. It's very clear. This is what America was, right? Capitalism with a tight economy. This is how America eventually became the dollar became the world reserve currency.
Yep. Let me show
Right?
you that map again, right? Historically, America has messed up a couple of people around here. It's hard getting their trust back. The easiest way to get their trust back is saying, okay, let's just be on equal grounds. Let's go use Bitcoin. It's
This is
easier
true.
for you to convince them than for you to allow Russia and China to take over almost half of the entire globe.
That's insane. Yeah, I don't think that would be a very different world. Let's put it that way. That would definitely be a different world, right? But this is why we talk about Bitcoin so much, right? Because if we're able to get onto this fixed supply and everyone now sees that they have to get onto the same platform to be able to trade, then everyone is on an equal playing field. And I think if
just put in more work. Put in more work. The more work you put in, the better it is for your country.
Exactly.
You're not trying to use your dollar as a leverage over everybody else because you have weapons, which is what Russia is doing now. It's like, oh, so you use your military weapon as your grant for your dollar. Okay, I'm going to use my nuclear weapon as the grant for my economy. I'm going to take over some countries. So what Russia is doing is no different from what we've been doing. It's just that Russia is doing it a lot more, kind of like the way Trump would have done stuff. Like,
it is. I mean, dude, man, I think in the 21st century, man, war should no longer be a thing. I think it would have been better to try to approach whatever he's doing without taking people's lives. You know, as always said, no one has the right to do that to others. But we also have to face the reality of what is happening right now. This is the situation we find ourselves in, and the possibilities of what may unfold. We're not experts at this. We're not experts at geopolitics. We're not experts in economics and stuff like this. But I will say this, okay? For people who are not experts at any of these things, if we can look at these maps and look at the data and connect these dots, right? Yep. Why are the experts not giving us a much more clear plan as to what is happening instead of all these politically correct questions they give all the time on TV? That's what we need.
I have an answer for that.
What is that?
Banks are bottom out.
Oh, yeah. How is that working for them right now?
Old money is so greedy and so not open to the reality that they fail to realize that all that money that you have is about to be gone if Russia and China accomplishes what they want to do. And the best way for you to do is take that your old money and put it into Bitcoin.
I like that. Look, we can go around and around and around, man, but I think we have a superior asset on our hands. And I think that the sooner governments figure out how to use this effectively to their advantage, the better it is for them. I have nothing else. Let us know in the comments. Double O, what else do you have? Any final thoughts?
If Canada can shut your bank account down, a democratic nation, and Russia can shut your bank account down, and that's an authoritarian government, just think about it one more time. Why do you need Bitcoin? Because we cannot we've showed the guy on the map. It's very decentralized. It's everywhere. It's very, very difficult to shut down Bitcoin. That's the better way to store your value, your hard work, your what you put all your energy into. It's a better store than somebody's ledger that is centrally controlled by some government. Get this decentralized ledger that is public. Everybody, it's I don't know what else to say. But again, man.
It is very clear, and like you said, and I would say we can end with this, man. Contribute to the network, right?
Sir.
Buy Bitcoin. Get it off the exchanges.
Yep.
And run a node. There we go.
Yep. Right. We're joining that network pretty soon.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is all we have for this one. Let us know what you think. Do you think that our analysis, because really this was our analysis of what we think Russia is going to do, man, because we actually did not read anything for that. We just kind of looked at the map and looked at the situation with Bitcoin and looked at the positioning of everything, and we're like, hey, this is a possibility. So what do you think of our analysis of what you think is about to happen here, what we think is about to happen here? Until next time, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, STAKKFin, everywhere, right? Call Peter Schiff, let him know that goal is still failing. He should probably jump into Bitcoin, But that'll be all we have. He should have bought oil. Oh man, that's incredible. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, brazen out.
Peace, peace, peace to the world. Double O.
Hey.
Ooh, that's a quick introduction.